and some of them and their parents are here. It just so happens that the major cities in these states are regional hubs for American Airlines. This may be news to the rest of you, but students from those states clearly understand the convenience that it provides to them and their families. In fact, American Airlines is headquartered here, of course, but you can also get to almost any place in the world from here, most of the time with a direct flight. There's this airport in the middle of the country, and the tax structure of our state are two of the major reasons that so many companies have relocated to the Dallas area, and also why so many of our out-of-state students come from these areas. You can get here as fast as you can drive from Austin to Dallas. In addition, American Airlines is also a great partner with our academic programs at SMU, particularly those in the School of Business. In addition, every year, American Airlines adds SMU grads to its employment roles. Therefore, it's a great opportunity to introduce our speaker for the 2019 commencement ceremony. Mr. Doug Parker is Chairman and Chief Executive of American Airlines Group and its subsidiary, American Airlines. He's a true innovator and leader in the airline industry. He steered the successful merger of American Airlines and U.S. Airways in 2013, and American has produced record financial results in recent years, optimizing the product innovation, investment in team members, and also shareholder returns. America is the world's largest airline, and its headquarters just across the river from us in Fort Worth. And with more than 130,000 team members around the globe, American serves more than 200 million passengers annually, and nearly 60 million of them connect through DFW International Airport, as do many of you. He's a member of the Board of Trustees of Vanderbilt University, where he earned his MBA. He holds a BA in economics from Albion College, and at SMU he serves as a member of the Cox School of Business Executive Board. So we're proud to have him a member of our SMU community, and we're very glad to have his family with us today also. Mr. Parker personifies the enterprising spirit that propels SMU to new heights every day. So please welcome to our 2019 commencement ceremonies our speaker, Mr. Doug Parker.
Thank you, Dr. Turner, and thanks to all of you who flew in today. It is an honor to be here with you all. I want to start by thanking the SMU Board of Trustees, Dr. Turner, and the university's faculty and staff for having me here today. SMU, as you all know, is an amazing institution, and it's a tremendous asset to all of us who do business in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We at American Airlines are proud to be partners with you today and for decades to come. And congratulations to the 2019 graduating class of Mustangs. And congratulations also to the parents and family and friends celebrating here today. I know how proud you are of these outstanding young adults. So there's this old classic movie that I'm sure most all of you have not seen called The Graduate. And in that movie, a young Dustin Hoffman is cornered at his college graduation by an older family friend who excitedly leans in and whispers, "I just want to say one word to you. Just one word. Plastics." Now, that might have been decent advice in 1967, but it's probably not the best advice in the environmentally conscious world of 2019. But I do have my own one word of advice for you all today. Travel. I know that sounds like self-serving advice from an airline executive, and maybe a bit of it is. But the spirit of the advice is much broader than selling some airline tickets. The reason I think we all should travel more is because travel makes our world smaller. It brings people together. Travel broadens our horizons. It introduces us to new people and cultures and teaches us that we all have much more in common than we have differences. You see, I'm here today not just as an airline executive, but also as a father of 3 great kids, ages 19 through 24. So I know a good bit about the world that you all have grown up in. That world has changed more in your time on Earth than it has for any other generation in history. On the day you all were born, there was no Google, no Wi-Fi, no iPhones, no Facebook, no YouTube, Instagram, or Snapchat, no GPS, no Uber. Can you imagine things that none of us can contemplate living without today have all been invented within your lifetimes? You all have managed that change brilliantly, and that change will continue rapidly into the future, and you all will lead the way. I am so excited about your generation and the positive changes that you will bring about that I wish I was part of it. But sadly, that's not going to happen. So I am left to share with you my advice on how best to navigate the road ahead. I choose to advise you to travel because the benefits of travel can offset one of the negative developments that has occurred in your lifetime, and that is the increasing polarization of our society. This theme hit me about a year ago when in a conversation with my oldest son, he said, divisiveness can't be the problem. Our country's been divided on all sorts of issues since it was founded. And he's right, of course. We've long been divided on politics, religion, race, social issues, and more. But I can tell you, in my lifetime, we have never been this polarized. And it occurred to me that this level of divisiveness, this polarization, is all that he has ever seen. It's all that you have ever seen. And that's not healthy. And if we allow it to become the new normal, I fear it'll have negative ramifications on the exciting future that lies ahead for all of you. Now, before I get too far along, I should note that I debated whether or not to talk about divisiveness and polarization here today, because the word divisiveness itself can be interpreted by some as a political statement. Now, it's pretty telling that simply discussing the issue of divisiveness can be viewed as divisive. But don't worry, I am not here to make any political statements in support of either side of this divide. I simply want to point out that it's a serious issue that we all should care about, that it's gotten much worse within your lifetime, and to encourage all of us to work together to better address it over time. I also contemplated using some more positive language to discuss the issue of divisiveness. That is, instead of starting with the negative perspective that we become divided, I considered speaking more positively about how we might work to become more united. But for some reason, I couldn't bring myself to say united that many times. So you don't have to take my word for it that we've become more polarized within your lifetime. There's a study done by the University of Michigan that found that today's college students are about 40% less empathetic than the college students of the 1980s and 90s. That's right. When asked to react to a statement such as, I sometimes try to understand my friends better by imagining how things look from their perspective. People like me and your parents were 40% more likely to agree with that statement when we were in college than you and your peers are today. Now look, there are surely many reasons why polarization has increased and empathy has declined, but one key reason is that we older adults have not managed the technological change nearly as well as you all have. All the tools that we had developed over time for separating truth from fiction, for building consensus, for listening to both sides of an issue have been rendered obsolete, and we have not developed adequate replacements. Your parents and I received our news from a few different sources like newspapers, magazines, and national television networks. These sources, while slow, were careful to check their facts, cite their sources, and have some balance because they needed to cater to a broader audience, and journalistic integrity was critical to their long-term viability. Today, information comes at us instantly and incessantly. In an effort to manage it, we choose a few sources from the thousands of options, almost all of which are specialized or tailored to a specific narrow audience. And as we choose to read a certain story or like a certain topic, our technology sends us more and more stories like those that we've enjoyed in the past. The result is we increasingly receive a single perspective, a single story. And depending on which side of an issue we're on, our views can end up gravitating further from the center and closer to the poles. Now, hopefully we can all agree this is not a good long-term trend. Polarization can lead to our opinions being those of our group rather than our own individual thoughts. We get to where we don't tend to criticize or question our own side, even when we may disagree with portions of its ideology. And we find it hard to bring ourselves to acknowledge the great ideas or successes of those on the other side, for fear it might weaken our position. We gets replaced with us and them. Polarization stifles healthy debate, free thinking, and compromise, and replaces them with rhetoric, group thinking, and anger. For those of you who will soon be taking a job in the business world, I can tell you, polarization does not work well there. Business leaders can't be divisive. We have to pull people together. Our team members come from all races, religions, sexual orientations, nationalities, and political persuasions. And so do our customers. We compete intensely, but the keys to success in that competitive environment are attributes like teamwork, cooperation, consensus building, diversity of thought, healthy debate, and innovation. The exact characteristics that polarization works to suppress. If polarization is rejected in our professional lives, then why do we accept it in our personal and political lives? And what can we all do to begin reversing this disturbing trend? Look, that's a really big question that we all need to solve together over time. But I can think of 4 things that would help. First, know that it hasn't always been like this, and do not let it become the new normal. This is important for you all to appreciate, because on the technology front, I'm not sure our generation can fix it. We tend to want to restrict the flow of information or try to slow it down, to go back to how it was. The free and rapid flow of information is a good thing, and it is here to stay. What we need are better mechanisms to consume it, including channels that provide better balance and factual integrity for all of us that want it. There's a real need for such tools, and we need enterprising minds like yours to demand and develop them. Second, be an agent of change. Do not fall into this polarization trap. Consistently challenge the polar positions and form your own opinions based on facts. Encourage others to do the same. Question those on your side of the spectrum and work to better understand the views of those on the other side. Now, you all have a huge advantage in this regard. You are newly minted graduates of Southern Methodist University. For the past few years, you've been challenged by your professors to think critically. They forced you to read disparate perspectives, to be empathetic to the views of others, to form your own fact-based opinions, and to build well-structured, rational arguments in support of those positions. That is a valuable gift, and it's one worth sharing. So please take the lessons you've learned at SMU and bring them into the world to be an important agent of change. Third, get involved in the political process. Polarization is more prevalent today in our government than it is anywhere else. If you're like most Americans, your views are not perfectly aligned with either of the polar agendas. If that's the case, express those views instead of holding your nose and tacitly supporting some positions you don't endorse. Or worse yet, giving up and choosing not to get involved at all. For example, it is okay to be fiscally conservative and socially progressive. It's okay to be concerned about economic inequality and still be supportive of free enterprise. It's okay to love America and favor global commerce. It's okay to have any permutation of views along the political spectrum. And having established those views and advocated for them, it's important to support and vote for those who are closest to your views, irrespective of their party. If you're like many of us, you might have trouble finding such candidates. But they do exist. They exist within both parties, and as they gain support, more of them will appear. And finally, fourth, travel. So much of what divides us is our ignorance of each other. There are many ways to learn about other people and their cultures and lifestyles, but none of those are as effective as meeting each other face to face. Travel allows that. And the more we all travel, the less polarized we become. So congratulations again to the 2019 graduates of SMU. There is a wonderful world out there waiting for you, one filled with amazing people, loving families, and beautiful places. A world with far too much good in it for any of us to be fearful or hateful of others. So go be joyful, not angry. Be hopeful, not fearful. Listen, don't yell. Seek to educate, not defeat. Seek to learn, not ignore. Appreciate, don't judge. Unite, don't divide. And any chance you get, go out and see the world. Travel. And when you do, fly American. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parker, for those very thoughtful and inspiring remarks. Speaking of travel, the faculty is charged with the responsibility of identifying individuals from all corners of the globe who, through a lifetime of sustained accomplishment and service, represent the highest values of SMU. Today, we honor two individuals for their distinguished accomplishments that have markedly improved our society and significantly enhanced the quality of life. What we do in honoring these extraordinary individuals is to define, through them, our institutional and personal ideals that reflect discipline, innovation, discovery, creativity, and leadership. Now, please refer to page 4 in the program for detailed citations. And President Turner will now confer the honorary degrees with the assistance of Platform Marshal and Professor of Music, Thomas Tunks.